Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. Rain, rain, rain. Knoxville averages 50 inches of rain per year, 12 more than the U.S. average, and more than Seattle. When it comes to building for wet weather, trust A.G. Hines Company. They are the experts in basement and foundation waterproofing materials, any kind of building materials. They know it, and they can help you with it. A.G. Hines Company celebrating their century mark this year. From 1920 to 2020, A.G. Hines Company. All right, big picture question for you guys. Obviously, signing day's coming up. We get past that, we're going to get into spring practice, and we'll start honing in on different positions and that kind of thing. But I just want to ask umbrella question here before we get into spring practice. If you look at last year's team, and you're Jeremy Pruitt, and you could say run game, you could say this position, that position, any aspect here. If you look at last year's team and you say, if we're going to be better in 2020, we got to get better here. We got to get better doing this. What is this? What is here? Vince, I'll start with you and we'll work our way down.
Well, the quarterback position is obvious. That's what everybody's going to say. I'll give you a different one, and I think it's the defensive line. Look, they outperformed anyone's expectations of the D-line going into the season last year. But I think there's another level there that they need to get to. And I think they need more difference-making plays on defense. And to me, it starts with the defensive line. That can impact so many different things. I think it's the D-line.
All right, well, let me get to the – are we all going to say quarterback? Was that going to be everyone's list?
No. I'm not. No.
No.
Well, there you go. It was going to be mine. Consistent quarterback. You don't even have to be great, just consistent. Mm-hmm. You just can't have the ups and downs. So that's where I was going to – I was going to go quarterback. Mm-hmm. All right, so you and I were – wrong. These guys weren't going to go quarterback. Ryan, where were you going to go?
I was going to say generally the passing game because I think it's the quarterback play.
Oh, well, that's the quarterback.
It's the quarterback play, but this year it's the receiver play as much as that. Okay. I think maybe the most overlooked losses in some ways on this team. I know people are going to say, okay, they lose Juwan Jennings, they lose Marquez Callaway. It's a big deal. I think it could be a really big deal for this team. We've seen teams without proven receivers struggle. Tennessee brought in Bayless Jones Jr. for a reason. They need some veteran presence there. They need some experience. I think that's a concern this year. And so the passing game as a whole could sink this team if they don't make up for that.
Dominic Wood Anderson, you're losing him as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to go with the offensive line, and one reason is because it just needs to be a lot better, but also because I think there's almost this just assumption that it already is a lot better just because of guys who are returning, but we still don't know about the Cade Mays waiver. I think there's a likelihood that he'll get it, but that's an unknown right now.
I think he'll get it by a pinky,
yeah.
Say. Yeah.
And then Wanya Morris has to be a better player. Darnell Wright has to be a better player. Finger joke. Yes. Kayron Calvert, I think there's all kinds of potential for this offensive line to be better, but because it was so bad in 18, the jump it made in 19, I think made it appear better than it was, and potential is assumed when it still has to be tapped into.
Well, Pro Football Focus, which I don't trust their numbers with college anywhere near as much as I do Pro Football Focus, because I don't know who's doing the grading for 130 schools. So there's that. But Tennessee, by their metrics, was one of the worst offensive lines. Not as bad as it was the year before, but still the jump it took
bottom
did not
third.
get it into. Still bottom third. It was not a good offensive line that you could count on. So I think you're right.
The potential is there, so there is the hope that it can be.
Yeah. All right, Bob, where are you going?
I'm going to go along with Ryan because I think the passing game. I mean, you tie it back to quarterback play and Garantano. But I think the receivers are going to be just as important because you lost Callaway, you lost Jennings, you lost not only Callaway made the great catches, Jennings made the great runs after the catch, plus they were both pretty good blockers. Mm-hmm. So they helped your run game too. So I think getting your receivers back to where you are, maybe not even improving, but just trying to get them back to where you were this past season, I think that's going to be close to job one.
I'll give you one. Maybe a little out there. Punting. Joe Doyle is in the transfer portal. Paxton Brooks going to replace him this past year. Again, I wasn't using the stopwatch to see what hang time was. Not sure what they were telling them directionally, but Brooks' average kick was about the same as Doyle's average kick, which was about the same as Doyle's average kick the year before. So I'm not sure why they made the change there. And I thought neither guy looked very comfortable with the flip-flopping back and forth. And when you're a program on the rise that needs every edge you can get, I think the punting game is something that they're going to have to work on. consistent quarterback play, consistent punting. It's two different levels in terms of what's most important, but that's where I would go. Consistency at those two positions.
Special
Agreed.
teams coach is gone now too, so you have a change there.
Right, and you know, how much did he handle it? How much of it was each guy handles his own thing? But yeah, the coordinator in name is gone. So interesting. Anybody else want to throw something else in?
I'll slide one more position in, and that's cornerback. I think Jeremy Pruitt, what he tries to do on defense, so much of it is contingent on those guys being lockdown corners and man and being effective in that, and then it opens up a lot of his defensive schemes to be able to get after the quarterback, and they need that. So that's another position I think needs another step forward.
And I think I'll throw one more in there. Can you get back to where you were at linebacker? I mean, that's one where you may step back because Batuli played so well. I think you probably can, based with the guys that you have on the team. But, you know, that's another one where can you hold serve with where you were this past season?
You trust To'o,
Right.
but when Batuli was out,
Yeah.
there were questions. I mean, and when To'o was out for a half, it was like, okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
My second answer was going to be pass rush because I don't think they really ever got to the point where they could consistently pressure the quarterback without blitzing at any point this season. That showed up in the bowl game. With Darrell Taylor gone especially, they've got to find some answers there off the edge.
Well, very good. Josh, you want a second one? Or are you good with offensive line?
Put me down for everybody else.
Okay, so we kind of covered
could've said
everything.
quarterback, too.
We got defensive line, cornerback. You got passing game, pass rush, offensive line, another passing game, linebackers, consistent quarterback play, consistent punting. Other than that, they're good. Yeah. All right.
Field goal kicker's good.
Very good. That's right. He is good. All right. When we come back, Mel Kiper had his first-round projection for the NFL draft of the year. I've taken all the guys who would have been on UT's schedule this year and listed them. Have any of these teams on UT's schedule for 2020 taken such a hit in first-round talent that maybe it opens up for the Vols to sneak up and beat them? We'll discuss that. Come on back on the Sports Source.